Hello and welcome to another video. Today I'm bringing you another one of those incoherent book babbles. I feel like I haven't filmed one of these in a little while, but I could be like way off. As you can tell from the title of this video and the thumbnail, of course, you know what book I'm talking about today, and that is The Raven King by Maggie Stiefvater. This book has been one that has been kind of on and off TBRs for a while now, since I finished Blue Lily, Lily Blue. I've been wanting to read it, but also not wanting to read it for many reasons. And it was kind of an emotional roller coaster before I'd even started it. Like, whilst it was sitting on my shelf, this book was playing with me. And I think that really just continued throughout the time I was reading it and since I finished it. This book has a way with my brain to just make me feel things constantly. So if you live under a rock, this is The Raven King, the last book in the Raven cycle, which is The Raven Boys, The Dream Thieves, Blue Lily, Lily Blue, and then The Raven King. It follows the story of Blue Sergeant and her Raven Boys, Gansey, Ronan and Adam, and their quest to find a dead Welsh king and various other supernatural weird things on the way. I don't really want to say too much about what this one's about because if you haven't read the other ones, then it would spoil things for you. But I do want to say this series has become one of my absolute favourites. I love it so much. The first book made me feel so many things, and it was the book that kind of really inspired a lot more within me. Like, when I finished it, I wrote an 11-page review and I just had so many feelings. It was the first like proper long book babble I did, and it set up for such an amazing series as a whole. I just can't get over how much I've loved it. I've loved the writing so much, the characters and the development and the world building and just the lyrical language, and everything about these books is incredible. So insanely incredible. I fall into the category of people that love this series. However, I do understand there are people that fall into the category of not loving this series, and I can see where that divide is. This book, not just this book even, this series is very atmospheric and kind of a slow burn to get to the action. Like, the first book, it's slow to start with, and I understand why people do kind of DNF it at like 30% or whatever, but I encourage all of you to keep going because it is worth it, and I loved it. And the second one was better than the first one, the third one was better than the second one, and this as an ending was just incredible. This one saw things get a bit darker. There were answers to questions that have been like niggling at your brain the whole time. The thing that you know is gonna happen in this book, like from the very beginning, you know it's gonna happen. It happens, but the way it happens, it's just all incredible and I love it all so much. In terms of non-spoilers, there's not much I can say other than if you haven't read this series, do it. It's very quickly become one of my absolute favourites, and I know it's going to be one that I reread many times because it's just so immersive and so magical. If you need to get away from the real world, go to this one because it's amazing. It really makes me feel things. As I said, the world building and the settings and everything, it's all just so realistic, and yes. Yes. I'm not going to say anything else spoiler free because I can't, because this is the last book in a series. So if you haven't read this book, if you haven't read the series, now is your time to leave. But I highly suggest you do, and once you've read it all, come back. So now I can just talk about it freely because you've all read it, I assume. This book was amazing, right? One thing that I do want to talk about and get it out there is that scene where Noah like claws at Blue's eyes when he's possessed by Piper, or the demon through Piper, or Piper through the demon even. It was so out of nowhere but twisted and weird, and it was so visual. Like, I could imagine him not being him, but him still in there, like him trying to fight it, but him also clawing at Blue's eyes, and it just things so much with Noah in this book. Just Noah. Also, obviously we see the return of Neve in this book, and she isn't as evil as she seemed in the first book at all. She definitely has like a change of heart, and she realises that she wanted like fame and fortune and stuff, and the way she went about it was not good, and she needs to get out of there, and that didn't really go well for her. I called it. I absolutely called it early on. I know it's quite obvious because I did call it, but Adam and Ronan, like the little smooching and the little sort of budding romance between them was adorable, and I loved it. And I loved seeing Ronan in that like vulnerable state, and he just kissed him and then he was like, okay, bye. It was cute. I loved it all. I love everything about these books though. Obviously all our questions are answered in this book. Like, we find out that Glendower is dead and there's no waking him for a favour. And that heartbreaking realisation for Gansey, like when he's down there, and when he goes into the tunnel by himself after Henry goes with him, and then he goes down into the tunnel and is like, I don't expect you to come with me, and he goes by himself. And then all the others come down with him as well to help him and protect him, because their friendship group is just the cutest and they all care about each other in such a special way. And I just love it so much. It gives me so many heartwarming feelings to see how much they all care for each other and look out for each other, and it's just adorable. And yeah, then Glendower obviously is not going to be woken. There is going to be no favour, so there's that realisation. And then they have to deal with everything by themselves. And I really enjoyed Henry's appearance more in this book as well, and how Henry kind of becomes part of the group and his involvement in helping Gansey. And like when they were down in the little ditch and he was helping Gansey like fight his fears, I was scared at that point, because I was like, what is Henry's motives here? Like, is he on his side or is he not? Like, what is going on here? But it was him revealing like his deepest secrets to someone who also has some really deep secrets, and they just bonded over having so much to hide from everyone, and it was amazing. Yes, loved it. And Robo Bee was incredible. I loved Robo Bee. Sorry, my dog's just kicked off. But yeah, there was so much in this book that I just loved, and the relationships probably was the main thing. Like how everyone looked after each other and looked out for each other, and they were all so supportive of each other. Don't get me wrong, there are points where they're not. Like the argument between Blue and Adam, where Adam's like, you just expected me to be so angry and jealous about you and Gansey that no one told me. Like, I'm his best friend. You think you were keeping it a secret. I can read him like you guys were just being selfish and keeping secrets from everyone and blah blah blah. And that whole argument, there were things that went down between people. Like, not everything was sunshine, rainbows, daisies, buttercups. Like, characters in this book are so like immensely real. They're all very flawed as well. Like, Adam has some serious issues, and I know from the beginning I didn't like him, and I definitely warmed to him more. He's probably my least favourite character, but I did warm to him. But from the beginning, his anger issues, like, he is definitely a very flawed character. Similarly though, Ronan and his impatience and like his aggression as well, like, very flawed. Blue is kind of that typical youth girl. She's like, I'm special, and she's sometimes so like self-absorbed, particularly in that scene when she's outside the school waiting for the bus and Henry comes to offer her a lift, and then Gansey comes afterwards, and the whole time she's thinking about like holding up her image and her reputation, because she's so self-obsessed and thinks that her image is so important. And that is Blue's main flaw. She is annoying, but I love her. But she is an annoying character because she's so into herself. And then Gansey is less irritating for the reader, but more for everyone around him, because everyone around him in the book, like, he's got this air of arrogance because he's a Gansey and is meant to be like every Gansey before him, and he's kind of got that reputation, but he doesn't want it. So they're all so flawed in their own ways, but the way they all come together and gel together is just so beautiful, and I love it. And I think everything that Maggie's done with these characters is insane. character development we see for each of them is just amazing. Everything is just so realistic about these books. And I know I've said it before in my first Babble for the Raven Boys, but Cabeswater as a place is so immersive. Even in this book when it's like dark and dying and kind of terrifying, it was still such an immersive place to be. It was amazing. Everything about this series is amazing. And then the big thing for me in this book, and I think the main point in this book, is we find out that the person that saved Gansey's life wasn't Glendower, but Noah. Because Noah, we learn a lot about Noah. Noah being dead means he's not on a straight timeline, he's in a circle because time is a circle and you can get to, you know, that whole point in this book. And Noah is the one that saved Gansey all those years ago and sent him on the quest to find Glendower. And through sending him on that quest to find Glendower is how everything happens, and everything has to happen in that way. And it was incredible, and I loved that change. It was really good. And then obviously Gansey's death, because they know Glendower's not dead, but Blue's dad told them that there needs to be a sacrifice on the ley line to kill the demon that's killing Cabeswater, which is also in turn killing Adam and Ronan. So Gansey has to sacrifice himself, and Blue kisses him and kills him, as we knew was going to happen from the very beginning of the first book. And it was amazing. It was terrible because you don't want him to die, but he has to. That's what the whole book is leading up to. There's no way around it. He is going to die, and he does. And then it's Henry that then came back and was like, you can't leave him dead, look at you guys. You're a magician, you pull things out of your dreams, you're this, you're that. You guys are so, like, impossible. Do the impossible. You guys are all so magical. Like, bring him back. Henry was like helpless in that situation because there was nothing he could do to help, but he had witnessed the magic that that group had between them and was like, do it, just do it, like why aren't you even trying, just do it. So they do, and then obviously the last line is Blue saying wake up or something. Pretty sure the last line is Blue touched Gansey's face, she whispered wake up. So yeah, that is an ending, and then the epilogue is them all going on their adventures and being together and Ronan dreaming again, and that leads us to a fantastic place for the Ronan trilogy to come, and I'm super excited for more about Ronan because he's a fantastic character. There are definitely points in like the first book where Ronan is like the most annoying thing ever, but he is such a complex character, and the development that goes through for Ronan I think is the best thing ever. He's an amazing character, and I can't wait to read more about him and his life, and whatever that trilogy is gonna go for, I am there for it, absolutely. But yeah, my throat hurts a lot because I feel like I've been speaking for ages, so I'm gonna stop now. But 5 stars, duh, I love this book. I can't believe I didn't say 5 stars, but I love it so much. As I said, it's going to be a book that I'm going to reread. It's going to be a series I'm going to reread. I loved it immensely, and I'm so happy to have it in my life. Okay, I'm going to stop now. If you have read this book, if you have read this series, then please talk to me about it. Like, yes, like chat to me down in the comments or find me on Instagram and DM me there or whatever. But I'm all up for talking about this series, so please find me and do that. But yeah, I'm gonna stop now. So if you have enjoyed this incoherent book babble, please give us a thumbs up, chat to me down in the comments. If you aren't subscribed and fancy subscribing, I'm always eternally grateful for that. I upload every Sunday and Wednesday and some odd days in between if I'm feeling generous, and I will see you next time. Bye!